I'm Ryan Yamamoto. This is the Minute. Berkeley's mayor will speak out today on the state Supreme Court's decision to allow UC Berkeley to build student and homeless housing at People's Park. This comes a day after the court threw out a lawsuit that put a hold on plans to build housing for about 1,100 students. A San Francisco judge dropped several of the state charges against the man accused of assaulting Paul Pelosi with a hammer. The judge dismissed counts including attempted murder and elder abuse. David DePape still faces charges including kidnapping. He's already been convicted on federal charges. The Oakland Ballers back in action with their first televised home game tonight. The Ballers are up 2-1 in their series against the YOLO High Wheelers. First pitch is set for 6:35 at Ramonde Park. If you can't make it to the game, once again, you can watch it right here on Pix Plus 44 Cable 12. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. This is The Minute.
Well, we're transitioning from above average to below average. Take a look at the map, which shows that to us. It's the coast and the immediate bay, which is really getting those benefits. If you're inland, there's still some orange on here. You're still above average for today, but that will start changing. And even if you're a little above average, and we looked at the daytime highs in the last visit, at least you're not looking at any more heat advisories. There are still heat warnings across California and the West as we look at today. And when we transition this map to show you what the actual temperatures are, they're still getting into the 1-teens. For the desert Southwest, it's still going to be hot in the Central Valley today. You can see that ring of red rimming the valley with temperatures, especially in the foothills in Central Valley, climbing into the low hundreds. But we start to get our break today and certainly this weekend. So I mentioned the weekend will be the coolest part of the 7-day forecast. Let's take a look at that. When we look at our inland microclimate, you go down to the low 80s. This gets you down a degree or two below average for this time of year. But you do start warming back up again next week. So while it's not going to be as hot as we were for the intensity of the heat here, like Wednesday and Thursday and even Friday, it will be noticeably warmer than the weekend. So just know, enjoy the weekend if you like it a little bit cooler, low 80s. Those high clouds, by the way, which will be showing up inland, those high clouds are part of a system clipping by to our northwest, which will give us just a bit of shade to keep those numbers down. And you see that here when we look at those inland numbers once again. But just to round it out and show you what this means for the bay, notice how much lower the numbers are. But the trend, the overall trend, remains the same. Cooler weekend, warmer next week.
Call it a rebirth. Call it a revival. These are the Ballers. A new pro baseball team. Built by Oakland. All right, Ballers, let's go. Built for Oakland.
Okay, we're partnering with the Bay Area's newest pro sports team to bring you all of their Friday home games all season long. It all starts tonight when the Oakland Ballers make their primetime debut on Pix Plus 44 Cable 12. They will play their fourth game at Ramonde Park this inaugural season, facing off against the YOLO High Wheelers. Tonight's game comes after a lot of excitement yesterday. Take a look at this. Dondre Hubbard went deep on back-to-back swings to give the Ballers a walk-off win against the High Wheelers. The Ballers' record is now 9-6. But before all that, a little bit of history made at Ramonde Park. That's pitcher Kelsey Whitmore on the mound. She became the first woman to start a game in the Pioneer League history. Our Gianna Franco and Sean Chitness have more about this historic game from our VR set.
Whitmore went 3 innings and allowed 2 earned runs last night.
And so this really is an inspirational moment for a lot of athletes out there. Our Kelsey Thurred spoke to the pitcher who wants other girls to look to her and follow their dreams.
Kelsey Whitmore's love of baseball runs deep.
I mean, just the atmosphere, like just being on the field, like I love. It's something it's just a sport that I've always enjoyed doing, and I feel like baseball kind of found me.
Kelsey, a Southern California native, first picked up the sport when she was just 6 years old and never looked back. Kelsey has excelled throughout her career, from youth leagues to college to now the professional arena. And for pretty much that entire time, she's been doing it as the only woman on her team and even in her league.
You know, I've spent so many nights, hours talking with my dad and my family of game planning of like, what do I need to do, whether it's things to work on, get better at, or, you know, who to be seen by so I can get an opportunity
Kelsey says it definitely hasn't been easy. Women wanting to play this sport still have a lot of obstacles in their way, but she has never let those stop her. She's played on a variety of professional teams and this year made the roster for the inaugural season of the Oakland Ballers.
I was super excited. My dad and I ended up having a drink together afterwards when we found out.
Ballers manager Micah Franklin says from the second he saw Kelsey try out, he knew he wanted to sign her.
She had a really, really good performance, kept the ball down and got outs. And right away, we talked to her about signing her out of the tryout, and she was all on board.
Kelsey is now one of a bullpen of pitchers for the Ballers. Micah says for the most part, she does her best to keep a modest profile, focusing on her game and what she can do to improve her performance.
She's got a big desire to succeed, and I'm going to tell you what, she'll take the ball, and if she'll have a so-so out and she's tough on herself, she has a good out and she's like, I got to do better. She's competitive out there. It's pretty cool.
It's really only when the media comes calling or young girls come to her games that Kelsey says she truly can take a step back and see the impact her career is having.
When you see little girls in the stands and you see the support that they have towards you, just to try to encourage them that, you know, anything is possible, and if they have those dreams and they have those things that they want to accomplish, I hope that I can show them and give them that encouragement and maybe that confidence that, like, I don't know, to not be afraid of stepping out of their zone and out of the things that they want, to be able to make things happen, you know.
Yes, to make things happen. I mean, it's so cool to see. On top of the fact that, Sean, I mean, it's a girl doing big things in sports, which we, you know, support anyway. But I just think of all the girls who are watching right now and saw her pitch, and it's just like, wow, I can do that too.
It's been so fun to watch them start at Raimondi Park all week and just acknowledge all of this history. And to add to that one more piece of history, what an amazing member of their team that is going to inspire others and probably draw more people in to be part of the Ballers fan base.
Yeah, and I mean, there are a lot of fans already showing up. Oakland 68s have been there, and they've been a staple at A's games for years, of course, beating their drum for Oakland when it comes to baseball. I got a chance to check in with some of their drummers as they wave their flags in the right field bleachers. You might remember that when you go to A's game. But with the A's leaving, they're taking the drumbeat now to Raimondi Park.
Let's go, Oakland!
That's the sound of Oakland baseball. Oakland Ballers baseball. Fans rooted in the community, cheering on more than just a new team. And Nina Thorson is one of them. Even with the A's leaving, Nina is not giving up on her love of baseball and the community.
We don't cheer for the team, we cheer for the city. So it works fine. We'll just move it over to the Ballers. It's no problem.
Doing so as part of the 68s, a group of Oakland baseball fans she's been a part of for years.
I've been hanging out with the drummers since 2009, 2010.
The group was part of the landscape at Oakland A's games, supporting their team for years.
I was playing tambourine, and then they would give me a drum when someone was going off to get a beer, which happens from time to time. I learned from Jorge Leon, who is the president of the Oakland 68s.
Let's go, Trevor. Let's go, baby. Come on.
We started with the Oakland A's in 2017, but we've been knowing each other since 2006. And we're the drummers and the flag wavers, and we support our community.
Now, they support a new team in Oakland, one rooted in heart and soul.
Anything sports related, we support that, and especially someone that does this amazing thing like this in less than 2 months probably. It's like, it just speaks volumes, and I know that the other team's trying to leave, so that's what we're doing.
Keeping the tradition alive, which is a lot harder than you think. I can't sing and do it at the same time.
I know, it's hard.
This summer, Nina says goodbye to the final season of baseball at the Coliseum.
If you want to leave, go ahead, but don't expect me to hang around for 18 months while you pack.
But she says hello to a new beginning at Raimondi Park in Oakland.
I mean, it's amazing what they have managed to do with Raimondi, getting it fixed up, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more improvements as it goes on.
showing up for the game that is the beat of her heart and the beat of her drum as she plays loudly on Ballers opening night.
The home opener was fantastic, though, to see all of these people, a lot of people who were wearing their newly purchased Ballers stuff.
Baseball alive and well in the town thanks to the Ballers.
Well, the 68s are a nonprofit organization. In addition to their love of Oakland baseball, they work to support the Oakland roots and soul and say they will always focus on giving a voice to the fans. Again, you can watch the Ballers tonight on Pix Plus 44 Cable 12 starting at 6:30. We'll bring you all their Friday night home games through the end of August. Still ahead on CBS News Bay Area, former President Trump comes to town as a convicted felon. The tensions outside his San Francisco fundraiser as the tech billionaires who helped him raise millions plus.
I want this grace to ripple in their lives like Blake has done for us.
Well, the message of forgiveness from the family of a murder victim as his convicted killers learn their fates. And here's some pumped up proof that age is just a number. Meet the Bay Area woman in her 60s whose workouts challenge women half her age.
With Olympic lifting, it just takes me longer to warm up, so I'm going to be here probably training 2.5 hours.
On these streets, every swing tells a story. Baseball's royal roots, it's an authentic Oakland glory, where every pitch paints the shadow of a dream, where every base on the diamond unites a city and a team. See, they call them the Ballers, but don't take it from me. Batter up just once and soon you'll see on these streets, every swing tells a story.
This is Oakland Ballers baseball.
So welcome to the Ballers, your newest hometown story.
Well, we started to cool down quite noticeably yesterday, and that trend's going to keep going today. So let me just show you what things look like for daytime highs. We're coming back down to average or below average. A lot of these numbers in the Bay itself are below average. You're still a little above average for daytime highs today. For the inland valleys, you still have to go to the mid-80s. Let's get some of the Santa Clara Valley numbers in here. You're going to be low to mid-80s. You're close to average. Tomorrow, everybody comes down a couple more degrees if you're inland. The weekend is actually going to be cooler than this. I'll see you with that in a few minutes.
Well, former President and convicted felon Donald Trump is back on the campaign trail today after his brief stop in the Bay Area last night. His plane touched down at SFO yesterday and headed straight for San Francisco to raise millions for his re-election campaign. The Trump chicken balloon also made an appearance in the Bay to greet him. This time it was wearing a black and white striped jumpsuit on the back of a boat, but the people who put it up, well, they ran into a little bit of trouble there. The winds were so strong they had issues inflating it and keeping the poultry prisoner upright. Meanwhile, Trump supporters started gathering hours ahead of his arrival. They joined caravans in Redwood City and Oakland, and they rallied at San Francisco's Marina Green, where some supporters told us they get a lot of pushback living right here in the Bay Area. As our Dre Nakano reports, it all led up to protesters and counter-protesters facing off outside of a Pacific Heights home while tech billionaires helped Trump fill his campaign coffers.
That's not lie. 7 times on this flight line. That's a lie. That is a lie. Who's it from?
Just an hour before Mr. Trump's arrival, the verbal fireworks began. Some Trump supporters and opponents got into heated clashes as they debated issues such as abortion.
He steals women's reproductive rights.
For supporters, this was a chance to see their candidate make a rare visit to San Francisco. Max Bonilla wanted to be part of this moment.
We don't see this in California. I know people kind of try to stereotype California and make it like it's all blue. I don't believe that necessarily. I think that there are definitely rural, conservative, red parts where people are coming from, maybe even suburban mom and dads, to come to a city like San Francisco when a guy that they love hardly comes by to even visit.
But for some who live in Pacific Heights, like Armand Domaluski, they felt the need to take a stand that Mr. Trump wasn't welcome in their neighborhood.
I live 5 minutes from here, and when I heard that Trump, who hates reproductive rights, hates freedom, and hates America, was going to be in my neighborhood, I had to show up and show that he doesn't represent our values.
There was a police presence in the area of Pacific Heights known as Billionaires Row. Only residents and attendees were allowed inside the barricades. One attendee who didn't want to be identified says she was impressed with the former president.
I think he is incredibly witty and quick and warm and personal and authentic.
For her, it was worth it to hear him speak about the issues to help her decide who she will vote for in November.
I wanted to have a first-hand experience to make my mind up, to have a better understanding of the situation.
Well, fire crews in Contra Costa County are getting ready for the fire season. They just opened a new training center. This is in Byron. The facility features classrooms and an outdoor grounds for recruits, as well as dorms that firefighters can stay in when the fire threat is high in that area. The department says the training center will help crews get out to wildfires across the East Bay more quickly.
It doesn't just serve Contra Costa County Fire, but it also serves the entirety of the county, which includes Richmond and all the other entities within the county.
The chief says fire season is already well underway in Contra Costa County. Closure for the family of the Blake Mose family, the Home Depot employee who was killed while confronting a shoplifter in Pleasanton last April. Well, yesterday, the convicted killers were sentenced by a judge where they will spend decades behind bars. Both suspects pleaded no contest to the second-degree murder charges against them. And as our Kelsey Thord reports, she spoke to the families after leaving the courtroom.
It was an emotional day for the Mose family as they came to court one final time for the sentencing of the two people who pled guilty in the murder of Blake Mose. Blake's mother, father, and brother all read statements during the sentencing. Our camera was not allowed inside the courtroom, but Blake's mother, Lori, did speak with us right afterwards.
Even though it's only been 415 days since our son was taken from us, it's been a long journey.
With her family by her side, Lori Mose addressed the media for a final time, sharing her thoughts on the formal sentencing of the two people who pled no contest in her son Blake's death.
At the very onset of our son's death, we knew by faith that we would choose to do a plea deal versus going to a jury trial.
33-year-old Benicia Knaps was sentenced to 19 years to life for Blake's murder, while 32-year-old David Guillory was sentenced to 7 years, 4 months for being an accessory. During the sentencing, Lori, Blake's father Eric, and his brother Matthew all read victim impact statements. During hers, Lori made a point to say Blake would have wanted her to offer forgiveness to the people who took her son's life.
I know that she could have spent life forever in jail. But what is that making of me then, if that's what I want? I want this grace to ripple in their lives like Blake has done for us. And I want them to make much of this opportunity. This is their chance. Where grace is extended, will grace be given? I don't know. That's their decision to make.
Gloria Benson Powdrill is David Guillory's grandmother. She told us she was thankful for the Mo's response.
I just want to say, I understand, because I lost a son also. And, I really hate that this happened, but it did. And she forgave them, which is good.
Lori says now her plan is to do what she can to continue Blake's memory. Her goal is to help her family and all other families of victims of violent crime to honor their loved ones by erecting a heart-shaped victims memorial, hopefully right here near the courthouse.
And what it's going to look like is victims of violent crimes. It's going to look like paper mache. That's my goal, with their names and their sunrise and sunset dates. We don't say birth and death because that's too much.
Well, Lori says she'll need to raise tens of thousands of dollars to make that memorial a reality, but that's something she thinks she can do. She also says now that the case is over, she's going to dedicate her time focusing on Blake's legacy and helping other families in similar situations. Still ahead, they're bringing life to downtown San Francisco one wig at a time. How these drag performances are breathing so much needed life to an area still struggling to recover.
Now you can get your KPIX news, weather, and live stream all in one place on the CBS News app. Download it free today. Looking back, it's easy to see the unquestionable power of your stories.
It gets tougher. You get stronger. When you put that positivity out there, it does multiply.
At KPIX, we're on a mission.
Come on in.
To go beyond news as usual. Because these are the people who connect and inspire us. And these are the stories that define us.
Okay, the onshore flow is back. Heat wave is over. Happy to say nobody's got a heat advisory, at least not in the Bay Area today. There are still excessive heat warnings in the Central Valley of California. But here at home, our weather is now being dominated by a return of the onshore flow in the marine layer. Here's where it'll be today. This gets us to Friday afternoon. See that little classic signature there? A little bit of the marine layer streaming right in through the Golden Gate. And strong enough winds there. It's going to feel cold. It's going to feel cold in Oakland this evening for the Ballers game with a breeze. It's going to feel cold in the city with a breeze. But everybody else will feel pretty nice, actually. It's going to be a kind of a nice little break from what we were doing with the heat. Just to show you what that feels like for your part of the Bay, once again, daytime highs will be in the low to mid 80s for many of our warmer spots. That is a big improvement from mid to upper 90s. You were in the mid 90s for those inland valleys yesterday. That's why we still had the heat advisory going into yesterday. But looking ahead to today, we don't have that anymore. And going into the weekend, the numbers will actually get even cooler than this. There is a pattern change that will allow even cooler numbers to start filtering in through much of the Bay as we watch the transition from above average to below average. We'll go into the specifics on this. We will also start to put the 7-day forecast together to give you an idea on how, even though it's cooler for the weekend, we are going to warm up again next week. I'll see you with that in a few minutes.
Well, in San Francisco, the city's official party to kick off Pride Month happens tonight. It starts at 6 p.m. at the Tenderloin Museum on Eddy Street. Also in the city is working to get started to install a widely recognized symbol of the Pride celebration. Volunteers are set to put up the pink triangle on Twin Peaks this weekend. The triangle's components, they're stored in a warehouse. And yesterday, volunteers pulled out the pink tarps and loaded them onto trucks along with other supplies.
Inside of the warehouse, we have 3 different bins. Inside, we have 175 bright pink tarps, and we have 5,000 12-inch long steel spikes that hold it to the hillside.
And today, volunteers will lay out the borders of the triangle, and tomorrow morning, they will fill it in with those tarps. The installation wraps up with a ceremony with Mayor London Breed and other elected officials. That pink triangle was originally used by the Nazis to persecute the gay community. It has since become a symbol of resistance and pride. And another event in the city is supporting both the city's transgender community and part of that city that has been struggling since the COVID-19 pandemic. Our Jose Martinez takes us to the start of this year's Drag Me Downtown series.
Glitter, glam, and a lot of charisma. The perfect recipe to bring back life to downtown San Francisco, says Bobby Friday.
Drag is about unlocking that inner spirit that you have to just shine and feel fierce and fabulous and over the top.
Bobby is the host of the Drag Me Downtown event series kickoff, starting with an exciting night at Harrington's Bar and Grill on Front Street. Last year, this event attracted over 200 people each time. This year is set to be even bigger.
I helped them produce the first event series of Drag Me Downtown, and it was such a success. People loved it so much, and it was so fun to bring queer beauty and queer art into spaces that maybe you wouldn't find it typically.
This time, dozens of people gathered at Harrington's to enjoy a night of spectacular shows and entertainment. The event is part of a broader effort to breathe new life into downtown while celebrating Pride.
It's a really important thing to remind folks that downtown is for everybody. You know, I kind of sort of kiddingly say it's not just bros in puffer vests that are coming to work for banks and tech companies. It is somebody or somewhere that has always been really embracing of the LGBTQ plus community, whether it's here, whether it's Soma, whether it's the Tenderloin. You know, this is everybody's downtown.
People think it's a chicken or egg thing, right? Like people, they used to work downtown because they had to. Now they're going to come downtown because they want to. And so we have to give them reasons to want to come downtown, right? And first Thursdays, Drag Me Downtown, the entertainment zone we're putting right out here.
While the event is free to attend, pre-registration is encouraged. All proceeds from the $10 pre-registration fee benefit San Francisco's transgender district, the first legally recognized transgender district in the world. So Bobby tells tells me come and support because while other places in the country say no to drags, San Francisco says yes and sashay away.
We want to celebrate who you are, and I think that that's what this series is actually about.
And Bobby tells Jose they encourage everyone to come and support the event, especially at a time when other places in the country are pushing back against the drag culture. Well, this year's Drag Me Downtown series features new performers at different downtown restaurants each week. Those events include stops at Pabu Izukaya, that's on June 13th. The week after that, it's at the J Hotel on June 20th. Then at One Market on June 27th. Well, beer specifically brewed for Pride is rising from the ashes. San Francisco's local brewing company was one of the first craft breweries in the Bay Area to make a Pride beer. But after a fire in 2022, the owners didn't know if the beer would ever return. The fire started upstairs in their historic building south of Market, destroying the brewery on the first floor. Now the effort to rebuild the brand includes a drive to the East Bay. Twice a week, the co-owner, Reagan Long, travels to Richmond, contracting with East Brother Brewing to make her beer.
East Brother is amazing lifeline for local, and we were able to get up and running in this location, brewing our beer within 8 months of the fire.
Well, that includes a beer she takes great pride in producing, a tropical blend called Gay Crush. It's the company's Pride beer for this year. I'll have more on the company's comeback and its newest blend tonight at 5 on our evening edition. Coming up in our next half hour on CBS News Bay Area.
We know each other like the back of our hands, so experiencing something like this just gives us another thing, like another memory to remember each other by.
You could call them Ballers besties. Meet the teammates starting their next chapter together in a journey that started from childhood. And a closer look at how climate change is causing our temperatures to rise and even changing our seasons.
So the average temperature is 2 degrees hotter this year now than it was a century ago.
Call it a rebirth. Call it a revival. These are the Ballers. The Ballers! A new pro baseball team. Built by Oakland. This is Oakland Ballers baseball. Built for Oakland. All right, Ballers, let's go. Broadcasting free to the Bay. This summer, Oakland baseball is live right here on Pitch Plus. Pitch Plus. 44 Cable 12.
I'm Ryan Yamamoto, and this is The Minute. Golden Gate Fields will host its final set of horse races this weekend. The racetrack opened in 1941 and recently announced plans to close down. The last 8 races are set for this Sunday, offering a final chance for the track's long-running patrons. Governor Gavin Newsom will join state leaders and LGBTQ+ community advocates at an event in the Bay Area today, launching the Freedom to Marry ballot measure. The initiative will be on the November ballot. It would update our state constitution to reflect current marriage equality laws. Crews say the Crystal Fire in the wine country is now 90% contained. The blaze began Wednesday afternoon near the site of the 2020 Glass Fire. The fire northeast of St. Helena sent 4 firefighters to the hospital. They've all been treated and released. The Bay Area's only primetime newscast, 8 and 9 p.m. on the all-new Pix Plus 44 Cable 12.
Well, we're transitioning from above average to below average. Take a look at the map, which shows that to us. It's the coast and the immediate bay, which is really getting those benefits. If you're inland, there's still some orange on here. You're still above average for today, but that will start changing. And even if you're a little above average, and we looked at the daytime highs in the last visit, at least you're not looking at any more heat advisories. There are still heat warnings across California and the West as we look at today. And when we transition this map to show you what the actual temperatures are, they're still getting into the 1-teens. For the desert Southwest, it's still going to be hot in the Central Valley today. You can see that ring of red rimming the valley with temperatures, especially in the foothills in Central Valley, climbing into the low hundreds. But we start to get our break today and certainly this weekend. So I mentioned the weekend will be the coolest part of the 7-day forecast. Let's take a look at that. When we look at our inland microclimate, you go down to the low 80s. This gets you down a degree or 2 below average for this time of year. But you do start warming back up again next week. So while it's not going to be as hot as we were for the intensity of the heat here, like Wednesday and Thursday and even Friday, it will be noticeably warmer than the weekend. So just know, enjoy the weekend if you like it a little bit cooler, low 80s. Those high clouds, by the way, which will be showing up inland, those high clouds are part of a system clipping by to our northwest, which will give us just a bit of shade to keep those numbers down. And you see that here when we look at those inland numbers once again. But just to round it out and show you what this means for the Bay, notice how much lower the numbers are. But the trend, the overall trend, remains the same. Cooler weekend, warmer next week.
Call it a rebirth. Call it a revival. These are the Ballers, a new pro baseball team. Built by Oakland. All right, Ballers, let's go. Built for Oakland.
Oh, the Ballers return to the field tonight for their 4th game ever at home. First pitch against the Yellow High Wheelers is around 6:30. If you can't make it to the game, you can watch it on Pix Plus 44 Cable 12. Gianna Franco, Sean Chitness takes us to Raimondi Park, well, at least through our VR set.
So, Gianna, we know that there are so many great stories that are coming from the Ballers clubhouse, and it's been fun to hear all of them and talk about them this week.
Yeah, it really has been. And Matt Lively shows us there is a trio on this roster that are all childhood friends.
We've been playing baseball together since we were like 14 years old, so it goes before college to even high school.
When pitcher Derek Cherry looks behind him at his defense, there are a pair of familiar faces for him to see.
We know each other like the back of our hands, so experiencing something like this just gives us another thing, like another memory to remember each other by.
Cherry, along with Peyton Harden and Brad Burkell, grew up together in Texas, playing travel baseball together, and eventually all playing collegiately at McNeese State last year.
To go on a journey with some of your boys and experience the baseball world with some of your boys, and to continue to do it after so many years, I feel like it's an amazing experience and a time to have. We've been traveling all over the U.S. together since we were like 14, 15, so it's been awesome.
Cherry and Burkell spent years together at the University of Houston before Harden told them there was a spot for them at McNeese, allowing the three to play maybe one last time. But the Ballers gave them a shot to run it back, far from home.
It's comforting, really. I mean, not coming to a place and having just all new faces. You know some of them, so I mean, it's comforting and it feels good to have them, behind you.
The trio say they won a travel baseball tournament just about every weekend in the Lone Star State. They then led McNeese to a deep run in their conference tournament. So winning in Oakland will be nothing new.
As there's two more runners in scoring position for Brad Burkell. He goes into the left center gap. This one is down.
We won a lot of tournaments and did a lot of things, so we knew the winning culture from there and then transferred over to McNeese as well, and it'd be awesome to get one here too.
Being able to bring that out here to the Bay Area and the rich baseball culture we have out here, it'd be amazing.
Oh my gosh, doing what you love with your besties, that's really, really cool. And then, there's a lot of trust that has to be, happen between players on the field. And that already exists. The foundation is there because of that friendship.
Can't teach chemistry, so how awesome that they already have it, and they are bringing that along with that winning energy, which we want. And, they've been off to a pretty good start at home, right? So let's just keep up that energy, keep it going.
Yeah, keep on getting those wins, and when you're at the game, of course, you're probably going to be thinking about the food.
Yes.
Well, fans can expect tasty baseball classics at Raimondi Park. Lorene Ayoub spoke with the owner of the Athletic Club Oakland, who is teaming up with the Ballers.
For Miles, every day at his sports bar is fueled by his passion for sports. The Athletic Club Oakland is a haven for sports lovers in the East Bay, and baseball is no exception.
We love this location right in the center of Oakland, bringing together all sorts of different people from different backgrounds, supporting different sports and different teams. And we feel that that's similar to what the Oakland Ballers are about to do for the community as well.
Miles says he's honored to have been chosen to provide the main concessions at the legendary Raimondi Park. After all, he moved all the way to Oakland years ago purely for the love of the sport.
I grew up in England as a huge baseball fan, and I couldn't get baseball anywhere. And so moving to the States in my 20s, that was one of the many wonderful things about living here, is being able to be a baseball fan and going to games.
And now he and his team will be serving the memorable food and drinks at the games, including a variety of local breweries.
We've got a lot of great food and great local beers and other products that we're going to bring for the fans.
And what's a baseball game without those flavorful garlic fries? Chef Mike has been keeping extra busy preparing all the necessary elements for a stadium experience.
It's been crazy, with going from serving 300 people a day, now we're trying to serve 4,000 people a day. I think it is going to be quite a challenge, really fun. Really excited for Oakland to get a new baseball team and hopefully have a team that actually cares about them.
And through the food, the Athletic Club Oakland is preparing for the Ballers experience as well, including gourmet hot dogs and hamburgers. They too are showing that they care about this new opportunity for the city.
I think that what the Oakland Ballers are going to do, bringing baseball, keeping baseball in Oakland, is going to mean a lot to the community, obviously in Oakland, but in the East Bay and the Bay Area in general.
A new chapter of baseball history that both Miles and Mike are anxiously cooking up.
And again, you can watch the Ballers tonight on Pix Plus 44 Cable 12 starting at 6:30. We'll bring you all the Friday night home games through the end of August. Up next, rising concerns about the deadly impact of a fast-warming planet meet the scientists who are measuring the heat in real time.
Many of the fans can't shake the feeling of sadness.
It was like a death in the family.
It's sad that I won't be able to bring my kid to the Coliseum.
And it really breaks my heart.
These are the Ballers, a new pro baseball team. Built by Oakland. All right, Ballers, let's go. Built for Oakland. Oakland baseball is live right here on Pix Plus.
we started to cool down quite noticeably yesterday, and that trend's going to keep going today. So let me just show you what things look like for daytime highs. We're coming back down to average or below average. A lot of these numbers in the Bay itself are below average. You're still a little above average for daytime highs today. For the inland valleys, you still have to go to the mid-80s. Let's get some of the Santa Clara Valley numbers in here. You're going to be low to mid-80s. You're close to average. Tomorrow, everybody comes down a couple more degrees if you're inland. The weekend is actually going to be cooler than this. I'll see you with that in a few minutes.
Well, San Francisco is one step closer to bringing pandas to the zoo. A Board of Supervisors committee voted to allow private donations to fund the $25 million deal. Critics say the move would subvert city ethic rules. They're also raising concerns about a budget squeeze. And animal welfare advocates want to know how the animals will be kept once they arrive.
Pandas are living beings. They are not political tools or, to drum up votes or increase business. The zookeepers themselves are unsafe and they're very unhappy about the working conditions. They voted unanimously no confidence in the director.
The full board will vote on the issue at their meeting next Tuesday. 2023 was the hottest year ever recorded on planet. It also set a record with the highest number of heat-related deaths in the U.S. And while we're finally catching some relief from the season's first heat wave, experts worry this year will be even hotter. Our Elizabeth Cook has today's Project Earth report.
The heat. From the heart of Redwood City to downtown Livermore, an expanding heat dome brought the season's first heat wave into our backyard.
It's really hot. Something about it just feels way more heat intensive. Like it feels like we're not at the beginning of June, but somewhere in the middle of July.
The rising temperatures are not just a figment of your imagination.
We are seeing rising temperatures earlier and earlier.
Dr. Peter Glick is founder of the Bay Area's Pacific Institute and an internationally recognized scientist. As to what's behind the rising temperatures,
we know that humans are changing the climate. That's no longer an issue for debate. The science is very clear about that.
Dr. Glick showed us the data gathered by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
This is a graph of California's average temperature every year from 1895 up until 2023, last year. The trend over time has been a very significant increase in the average temperature in California. So the average temperature is 2 degrees hotter this year now than it was a century ago.
The rising temperatures are leading to earlier springs and hotter summers, as well as an increased risk of extreme weather and fire danger.
We're losing our house insurance because of increased wildfire risk.
It's also a problem, especially for agriculture, birds, and pollinators.
The plant and animal life around us are adapted to yesterday's climate, not the climate of today, much less the climate of tomorrow. So we're seeing species that are threatened by the changing weather patterns that we're seeing. We're going to see more extinctions, and we're going to see more and more pressure on our already stressed ecosystems.
As to what we can do,
drink a lot of water. My curtains are drawn right now.
Avoid being out in the sun at the high point of the day.
Really crank up the AC and garden in the evening and run in the evening.
While all those are good ideas, Glick says we still need to deal with climate change, and that means producing energy without burning fossil fuels. He says the Bay Area will see cooler years and warmer years, but overall, the data shows it's slowly and steadily getting hotter and hotter, and we may not be aware of the danger.
You put a frog in a pot of boiling water and the frog's going to jump right out. But if you put a frog in cold water and slowly heat up the water, the frog doesn't see what's going on until the frog is cooked.
It's not as hot as it'll probably get, but it definitely is the hottest it's been so far.
So not to wait to jump out before it's too late.
For more Project Earth stories like this one, just head to our website at kpix.com. Coming up, an East Bay woman in her 60s who's too fit to quit.
I feel like I'm doing my sports in reverse. I should have did this when I was young.
Now she's not letting her age stop her from reaching her fitness goals, how she's inspiring others to do the same.
I would like to see the headlines that the national press picks up on and say, look, there's another side to the Bay Area.
We take those headlines a little step further to sort of connect all these wonderful communities here.
The Bay Area is full of some amazing, innovative change makers, some people who are not giving up. They're going forward.
In fact, I feel privileged that I get to share those stories.
Wake up with the Morning Edition, weekdays on KPIX.
Okay, the onshore flow is back. Heat wave is over. Happy to say nobody's got a heat advisory, at least not in the Bay Area today. There are still excessive heat warnings in the Central Valley of California. But here at home, our weather is now being dominated by a return of the onshore flow in the marine layer. Here's where it'll be today. This gets us to Friday afternoon. See that little classic signature there? A little bit of the marine layer streaming right in through the Golden Gate. And strong enough winds there. It's going to feel cold. It's going to feel cold in Oakland this evening for the Ballers game with a breeze. It's going to feel cold in the city with a breeze. But everybody else will feel pretty nice, actually. It's going to be a kind of a nice little break from what we were doing with the heat. Just to show you what that feels like for your part of the Bay, once again, daytime highs will be in the low to mid-80s for many of our warmer spots. That is a big improvement from mid to upper 90s. You were in the mid-90s for those inland valleys yesterday. That's why we still had the heat advisory going into yesterday. But looking ahead to today, we don't have that anymore. And going into the weekend, the numbers will actually get even cooler than this. There is a pattern change that will allow even cooler numbers to start filtering in through much of the Bay as we watch the transition from above average to below average. We'll go into the specifics on this. We will also start to put the 7-day forecast together to give you an idea on how, even though it's cooler for the weekend, we are going to warm up again next week. I'll see you with that in a few minutes.
Well, this next story might inspire you to hit the gym this weekend, or not. A Pleasant Hill woman is going back to the CrossFit Games this summer, and she's competing at 62 years old. She says she wants to inspire others to make fitness a priority, no matter how old they are. Armanda Harry asked her what it takes to compete at elite level in your 60s.
3, 2, 1, go.
If
Yvonne Howard is counting down the days to another CrossFit Games appearance. The 62-year-old just qualified for her 8th CrossFit Games.
I feel like I'm doing my sports in reverse. I should have did this when I was young.
Lifting weights and doing workouts that would intimidate some people who are half her age. But in order to stay this fit in the gym, she has to put in the hours taking care of her body outside of the gym, from her head to her feet. And it doesn't always feel good. After an hour of body work, it's off to the gym.
I just ate in my car because I have to get a snack in for my training. I got to eat another meal. What you just saw with Dr. Maury, I have to do that. She stays on top of she'll find things that are wrong and work it out. He's my fan.
The gym that she owns, Diablo CrossFit, has become more like a second home, which is a good thing because training like an elite athlete takes time.
With Olympic lifting, it just takes me longer to warm up, so I'm going to be here probably training 2.5 hours. 3 pages.
But before she can train, duty calls. An all-staff meeting at the gym. To get it all done, she mobilizes and prepares for her workout during the meeting.
I think being a gym owner keeps me going. It's kind of part of my business to be fit and to set an example.
Then she jumps into her training with more movement-specific warm-ups to keep her body functioning at its best.
No, I never worry about getting hurt. The only thing I worry about is falling down. When you're in your 60s, like, because my eyes are so bad, I jump up to the pull-up bar, and a couple times I've missed it.
Now begins the hours of diligent training so she can be her best at the CrossFit Games. After completing semifinals and finishing top 20 in the world in her age group, she'll move on to the World Championships in Birmingham, Alabama.
My husband's been on the podium, so it's kind of a goal of mine.
Until then, she'll continue to grind through workouts, putting in the blood, sweat, and tears to fulfill her goals.
Oh, it was horrible.
Well, Vaughn will compete at the CrossFit Games in Alabama from August 29th through September 1st. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. We'll be right back with your first alert forecast and a look at your top stories. Yamamoto. This is the Minute. Berkeley's mayor will speak out today on the state Supreme Court's decision to allow UC Berkeley to build student and homeless housing at People's Park. This comes a day after the court threw out a lawsuit that put a hold on plans to build housing for about 1,100 students. A San Francisco judge dropped several of the state charges against the man accused of assaulting Paul Pelosi with a hammer. The judge dismissed counts including attempted murder and elder abuse. David DePape still faces charges including kidnapping. He's already been convicted on federal charges. The Oakland Ballers back in action with their first televised home game tonight. The Ballers are up 2-1 in their series against the YOLO High Wheelers. First pitch is set for 6:35 over Monday Park. If you can't make it to the game, once again, you can watch it right here on Pix Plus 44 Cable 12. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. This is The Minute.
Well, we're transitioning from above average to below average. Take a look at the map, which shows that to us. It's the coast and the immediate bay, which is really getting those benefits. If you're inland, there's still some orange on here. You're still above average for today, but that will start changing. And even if you're a little above average, and we looked at the daytime highs in the last visit, at least you're not looking at any more heat advisories. There are still heat warnings across California and the West as we look at today. And when we transition this map to show you what the actual temperatures are, they're still getting into the 1-teens. For the desert Southwest, it's still going to be hot in the Central Valley today. You can see that ring of red rimming the valley with temperatures, especially in the foothills in Central Valley, climbing into the low hundreds. But we start to get our break today and certainly this weekend. So I mentioned the weekend will be the coolest part of the 7-day forecast. Let's take a look at that. When we look at our inland microclimate, you go down to the low 80s. This gets you down a degree or two below average for this time of year. But you do start warming back up again next week. So while it's not going to be as hot as we were